How's it going, IO? In this video, we're going to be counting down the top 10 Drew Barrymore moments that gave us secondhand embarrassment. Coming in at number 10, turning against writers. Drew Barrymore faced intense blowback for her decision to resume taping her talk show despite Hollywood's ongoing labor strikes. As long as hosts or guests don't discuss or promote work, she wouldn't have been violating SAG-AFTRA rules, since the network code agreement does allow daytime hosts to perform hosting duties. But the thing is that her show operates with union writers, so new episodes would have required moving forward without their writers on staff. At the time, the WAG condemned her decision. They said Drew Barrymore should not be on air while her writers are on strike fighting for a fair deal. In reality, shows like this cannot operate without writing, and that is struck work. What really got people angry about this whole situation was the hypocrisy, since back in May, Drew stepped down as a host of the MTV Movie and TV Awards in a show of support and solidarity to the striking writers. At the time, she said, "I have listened to the writers, and in order to truly respect them, I will pivot from hosting the MTV Movie and TV Awards live in solidarity with the strike." But only a few months later, it seemed as though she had gone back on her stance, which is why she was immediately labeled a scab. Number 9, the apology video. Drew posted a tearful apology after coming under fire for bringing her talk show back during the writers' strike. In a video posted to Instagram, she said, "I believe there is nothing I can say or do in this moment to make it okay. I wanted to own a decision so it wasn't a PR protected situation, and I would just take full responsibility for my actions. There are so many reasons why this is so complex, and I just want everyone to know my intentions have never been in a place to upset or hurt anyone. That's just not who I am. I've been through so many ups and downs in my life, and this is one of them." Drew went on to explain that there is no PR machine behind this video or the decision to restart production. She insisted that she wanted to do this because, as she said, this is bigger than her and there are other people's jobs on the line. She said, "Since launching live in a pandemic, I just wanted to make a show that was there for people in sensitive times." She thought if she could go on during a global pandemic and everything that the world has experienced in 2020, why would this sideline us? But of course, her words fell on deaf ears because by that point, her decision had already been made. Number 8, fired from hosting. As we know, Drew got a ton of backlash for her decision to bring back the show. And then in what must have felt like the final crushing blow, the night before the long list for this year's National Book Awards started coming out, Drew was fired by the National Book Foundation. They announced that Drew, who had been set to host the gala, had been dropped. Quote, "The National Book Awards is an evening dedicated to celebrating the power of literature and the incomparable contributions of writers to our culture. In light of the announcement that the Drew Barrymore show will resume production, the National Book Foundation has rescinded Mrs. Barrymore's invitation to host the 74th National Book Awards ceremony. Our commitment is to ensure that the focus of the awards remains on celebrating writers and books, and we are grateful to Miss Barrymore and her team for understanding the situation." So obviously the foundation chose to stand with the writers in this particular instance, and for that reason they got a lot of praise. Unfortunately, many people felt that this was karma for Drew, and they celebrated the decision to fire her. What's more likely is that the foundation simply didn't want to have to deal with the picketers who would be lining up outside their event. So they did the easier thing and chose to let her go. Number 7, fans kicked out of the show. Drew's talk show went on with taping throughout last week, and it got some seriously bad press in the process because 2 audience members were booted from taping due to wearing a strike pin that had been handed to them by picketers outside of the show's set. So the fact that they got kicked out of the show just because they wore those pins was insane. Drew and her team insisted that she had no idea what had happened, but of course by this point, very few people actually believed her. So she got even more hate when that story came out. Originally, Drew had promised that the show would be fully ad-libbed and not written at all, due to 3 of the usual writers on the series currently striking as a part of the WGA. Despite this, the guild stated that even this version of the show was not within the strike's rules. In her original announcement, Drew said, "I own this choice. We are in compliance with not discussing or promoting film and television that is struck of any kind. Our show was built for sensitive times and has only functioned through what the real world is going through in real time." But clearly, all of that was not enough to stop the growing outrage. Number 6. Caving to pressure. Following a flood of criticism from fans and peers for her decision to return her talk show to air, Drew has now decided to press pause on her show's new season, which has led at least 2 other shows in the genre to do the same. She announced a reversal on Instagram, and her statement read, "I have listened to everyone and I'm making the decision to pause the show's premiere until the strike is over. I have no words to express my deepest apologies to anyone I have hurt, and of course to our incredible team who works on the show and has made it what it is today. We have really tried to find our way forward, and I truly hope for a resolution for the entire industry very soon." After Drew's announcement, the Jennifer Hudson Show and The Talk also paused their season premieres, which were set for Monday, with a spokesperson saying that it would evaluate plans for a new launch date. A spokesperson for CBS Media Ventures then told the media that "we support Drew's decision to pause the show's return and understand how complex and difficult this process must have been for her." Coming in at number 5, no concept of personal space. Drew got some major side-eye from fans over her behavior on her own talk show. As a host, she's often very comfortable with her guests, but apparently sometimes a little too comfortable. In a clip taken from the show, she can be seen interviewing Kathryn Hahn before sliding to the floor on her knees and jokingly touching her legs. The two of them were discussing the topic of shaving, and Drew was obviously feeling Kathryn's legs for stubble, but a lot of viewers didn't take too kindly to this action, calling her out for the strange and cringy behavior. Under the video, people wrote things like, "The show should be named Drew getting on the floor every episode," and "Why does she keep doing this on the floor thing? I find it strange." The general consensus was that she gets way too close to her guests and is often all up in their personal space, which is why some people get very uncomfortable when watching her show. One person wrote, "Remember when Drew Barrymore's show started and the chairs on the stage were so far apart because of the pandemic, and Drew wasn't constantly on her knees at her guests' feet?" So that's something that fans have noticed, and they really don't like it. Number 4, rude comments. Last year, Drew Barrymore came under fire for her remarks that she made about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. She then apologized on social media for making light of a very serious case after she described the trial as a 7-layer dip of insanity on her show. She said, "It's like 1 layer of crazy, it's a 7-layer dip of insanity. I know that these are 2 people's real lives, and I know what it's like to have your life put out in public." She went on to say, "I understand all the feelings, but they are actually offering up all this information that no one had to know. This is crazy." Drew then took to Instagram to apologize for these comments, saying that she was sorry for offending people by making light of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. She said, "This can be a teachable moment for me and how I move forward and how I conduct myself." While this was one of her better apologies, it's no wonder fans felt a little off about her original comments, because by this point in time, many people were making fun of the trial, which was about a very serious issue. So it didn't help that major celebrities like Drew Barrymore were also doing the same. Number 3, dissing Bill Murray. The actress recently talked about witnessing Bill Murray's demeaning behavior, and she said she was present when he hurled insults at Lucy Liu on the set of Charlie's Angels. Drew said, "What really happened was Bill just came in a bad mood. You know, comedians can be a little dark sometimes, and what you have to know is how much Lucy stood up for herself, and that was a great thing that came out of an unfortunate circumstance. She literally said, 'I do not accept that kind of behavior from you,' and we all supported her and backed her up, and we moved forward." Drew said that there were some general comments made towards the group, but then Murray zeroed in on Lucy. Drew also sent her a video that she had of the incident to back up her allegations, which showed the moment that Bill Murray started lashing into her. It was apparently all caught on camera. In response, Lucy told her that she didn't even need the video for confirmation, and just having her friend's support was enough. Obviously, these comments didn't sit too well with Bill Murray fans, but it just goes to show you that the Angels still have each other's backs. Number 2, accusations of nepotism. Drew Barrymore is a staple of Hollywood at this point, but she did get her start because she was a daughter of Jade Barrymore and John Drew Barrymore. The crazy thing is that her family's fame goes back even further. The Barrymore legacy dates back to the 19th century to Maurice Barrymore and Georgina Emma Drew, who were stage actors. The first Barrymore to be featured on TV was Lionel Barrymore, who won an Oscar for a 1931 film called A Free Soul. Barrymore getting into Steven Spielberg's E.T., the extraterrestrial was a given. Drew still had a rough childhood, sadly, and it was all thanks to her connections with Spielberg that she didn't spiral into a bad lifestyle like Lindsay Lohan. And coming in at number 1, The Hollywood Life. Drew became a star at the ripe old age of 7 when she played Gertie in 1982's E.T. And of course, she was born into that famous family of actors, so she was truly meant for show business. But behind the curtain of her star-studded life, there was also a lot of darkness. According to The Guardian, Drew Barrymore's father, John, was a raging alcoholic, and her mother, Jade, lacked parental responsibility, and she also acted as Drew's manager and put her to work in show business at only 11 months old. But when her parents divorced, the young actress was left with her mother, who frequently took her out to party at Studio 54, where she was unfortunately exposed to illicit substances and a lifestyle that was meant for adults. By the age of 13, Drew had already been in rehab and she had been institutionalized. In fact, it was a psychiatric hospital that suggested that she should emancipate herself from her parents, as they believed she would be better off on her own. Drew agreed and cut contact with Jade, and at 14, she was already living by herself. She would be estranged from her mother for decades, and she recently revealed on Oprah that she was not present at her wedding because they both discussed it and thought that it would be best. So what do you guys think about this video? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.